Now, the reason I'm stressing this is because it is extremely easy today for Bible-believing Christians, evangelical Christians, to fall into one of two forms of what I would call advice-giving rather than gospel-shaped ministries and lives. On the one hand, you have what most of us know as legalism. There are forms of Christianity, there's forms of Christian, there are many Christian churches. They do have a high view of the Bible, but they are legalistic. And what they do is they either explicitly, but usually implicitly, make everybody in the ministry believe that unless you're incredibly good, unless you follow every one of these rules, including a lot of these extra biblical rules, unless you live like this and do this and believe all these things, you're not really a Christian, which means they're putting burdens on. They're putting burdens on. They're taking burdens and they're putting them on and saying, if you bear these burdens, then God will be pleased with you, which of course is losing the gospel. But there's also, I would say, a kind of liberal evangelical legalism. And that goes like this. It says, well, now, look, we don't want to talk too much about wrath and blood and atonement like that. We would rather talk about the church as a new people of God, and it's a community of love, joy, and peace and justice. And to become a Christian, you join the community, and you become part of this community, and you become part of God's program to renew the world. And as great as that sounds, it's a new kind of legalism. Why? Because it's putting a burden on you again. You've got to not be bigoted. You've got to be inclusive. You've got to be spreading out. You've got to be loving people. Charles Wesley, who did eventually figure out the gospel, he actually didn't understand the gospel when William Holland was getting it. In fact, Charles Wesley still wasn't quite sure what's going on, but he eventually got it. And of course, there's that great line in that great hymn where he says, "Long my imprisoned spirit lay, fast bound in sin and nature's night. Thine eye diffused a quickening ray. I woke the dungeon flame with light. My chains fell off, my heart was free. I rose, went forth, and followed thee." Now, is that the language of your heart if you get into either of these kinds of legalism? Is that in other words, if you say what it means to be a Christian is you have to love people and you have to care for them, you have to do justice in the world, and you have to renew the world. If a person says, okay, my chains fell off, no, they're not. They're saying, okay, that's great, I'm excited, but it's a burden. The gospel takes burdens off, the burdens of your past, the burdens of your guilt, the burden of your fear of the future, whether you're going to be there, the burdens of parental expectations, the burdens of all burdens are taken off. And if the baseline of your life, if the baseline of your life is my chains fell off, my heart is free, I rose, went forth, and followed thee, that sense of release, that sense of amazement of grace, that only comes when you get the gospel right. And you won't be shaped by the gospel unless there's that bubbling joy all the time. And if you have any version of Christianity that doesn't get you there, if you feel like you can improve on the propitiation of the wrath of God through the blood of Christ, leading to complete freedom from all guilt, if you can improve on that, whatever that improvement is, I don't think you're going to be singing, my chains fell off, my heart is free. You're not. You're putting burdens on people. You have to get the gospel straight.